Assassination attempt. Really?
Said, take a look at what happened.
The narrative is a presidential candidate / former president was shot at.
It was like something about this looks off.
Put your tinfoil hat on for this.
You hear shoot her down.
You have a 20-something no-name dude.
There's no way that there's that many high-level government agents that are involved in this conspiracy.
I think they were just incompetent. They were complacent.
Not in my opinion.
Like, this was staged. Trump put this on. It's a false flag.
This dude wasn't 1,000 yards away. It's 150 yards.
And there's going to be hearings about this.
I don't buy it.
So, you doing this?
Let's do it, man.
Going
Show
for it?
29.
Show 29.
I wonder what we're going to talk about.
Boom.
I don't know.
I think there's only one thing to talk about.
It's been a slow week. Man.
Dude, assassination attempt. Really?
I was sitting
Real
there.
big?
I just happened to start scrolling through X, and then, like, almost as it's happening, it's unfolding. I'm like, what the, like, this can't be real. No fucking way. And then the video pops up. I'm like, holy shit. This man just got shot.
Yeah, I was editing one of our shows, and you sent me the text, and you're like, holy shit. I
Fucking,
tuned in right there.
yeah, there's so many different angles to cover this from, but when did you find out about it, Junior?
I was hanging out with my girlfriend in Tucson this weekend. We were doing kind of like a little staycation thing down there. But yeah, I mean, same thing. I was just scrolling and it popped up, and it was funny, the reaction that I initially had, and I think a lot of people could probably feel this way, that not believing that it was true, or like that it was fake, or there was just like a parody page or something like that I like had just scrolled by. Like, you know, it went away pretty quick once I realized what was happening, but it was kind of fascinating
Just
to me to
instantly.
have that like reaction to it.
I think it's probably me too. Like, yeah, because like I said, it happened literally while I was scrolling. Like, it happened as I was on there. So you see it come across, you're like, the fuck? This can't be like, oh shit. Yeah, instantly like, oh, this happened. Because I think it was a Fox News clip that I initially saw.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no, this is credible. And then all of a sudden, the freaking feed blows up with everybody talking about it. I think the funniest initial coverage of it is CNN's, MSNBC's. I think CNN's was Trump falls down at a rally, escorted off the stage by Secret Service. Like,
Yeah, they were
really?
calling like an interruption of
He fell down. That's what you're going with?
Yeah.
Did you see the CNN? Somebody memed about CNN. If CNN was around in 1963, and then it shows Kennedy fell really, really hard at a rally
In his car. Yeah.
Like, man, you really couldn't even give the man a attempt for almost getting assassinated. Like, you hate him that much. I get it, but like, at least be truthful. You are the fucking news, are you not? It shouldn't just be opinion pieces.
Well, it was almost like they wanted to like slow play the narrative so that whatever way it went, they could steer it or get behind it or ahead of it, however they were looking at it, but they didn't want to divulge too much information in case they had to change their direction.
The narrative is a presidential candidate / former president was shot at.
Yeah.
Got shot in the fucking ear.
Yeah.
That's if you're a news organization, that's what you cover. You don't try to
100%.
twist it to whatever
Yeah, they're
narrative.
not popping.
No, and then if you're wrong on anything, you come back and
They're
correct the
gunshots.
story, but you report exactly what you think is happening
as
at
it's
the time.
happening in real time. You go with it, just like it's happened for every major news event. You just do it.
Like, do you remember when that dude set himself on fire after the Trump thing? And I told you I was so annoyed at the way the lady reported it. And she's like, oh, there's shots fired. Nope, not shots. He's on fire. He's on fire. That's what it is. And like,
but she did her job.
Yeah, but she was so frantic and I was so annoyed by it. But I mean, in hindsight, looking at the way this was handled, like, I'm kind of grateful for that style of reporting where you're like, you're in it and like you're calling it as it goes. And if you're wrong, you fix it, as opposed to downplaying it so that later you can make sure you get it right.
Yeah, one was loud popping noises. Like, no, that was a rifle.
Well, they were loud popping noises.
Technically,
Well,
wrong.
That surprises me, you know, from like left-leaning news organizations, especially that are hard on gun control.
Yeah.
You know, that, I mean,
Yeah.
Don't you think that would be a great
That would have
opportunity?
been the jumping off
If
point.
you're left leaning and you want to stop guns, like, hey, a psychopath with a gun shot a president.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the story. Like, there's so many ways you legitimately could have covered this without trying to make it, you know, trying to downplay it that Trump was almost assassinated.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. Just do your fucking job. How hard is that? We turn to you for the news, not your opinion or the way you view the world. It's the news. I want to know what happened, especially for events like this. Like in the next day on MSNBC, you know, Morning Joe Scarborough, and what's her face, they've got their show every morning. They didn't put him on that morning because they were afraid of what he was going to say.
Scarborough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was on the news this morning. He was fucking pissed about it, saying the next time they try to replace us with a news feed, that news feed better be us or we're gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But if your boss doesn't trust you to do your job, like, that's a pretty good argument you shouldn't be doing your job in the first place.
Yeah.
You're that slanted towards one way. Like, you're a reporter, man. Do your fucking job. That's all I got to say about that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was watching it, and it's crazy. As soon as you sent me that, I started looking for wherever I could tune in, and I kind of like Junior. Like, it was almost like shock and disbelief at first, but I'm going to be completely honest. Like, as I was watching it, I'm one of the people that I was like, something about this looks off. Something to me didn't look right. And I don't know if I'm not going to sit and say it was orchestrated or it was planned.
We can talk about it.
We will. I want to. But something to me didn't seem right watching it live. There's just a reaction to once they had all huddled around him, his Secret Service, and they didn't like fly him off the stage. Like, they stood there and they allowed him to tell them to stop and put his fist up. And then you had the one guy like trying to move his hand in front of his face while he was standing still. Like, there was a length of time where like they just let him stand there and they look like they were trying to do stuff. But if you watch the video, like, they aren't even touching him. They're just like huddling around him with their arms up, like they're doing stuff. And he's going through the whole fist up. And then oddly enough, like, there's just enough time to get the picture of the upside down, the flag, and all the pictures that they have that came from.
Picture was goddamn heroic, though.
Amazing, right? But there's just so much to it that I'm like, you're telling me, like, we talked about this at the station. I don't know, you weren't there, but if I'm in charge of Adam's my high priority target, right? And I have no Secret Service training. I have no military training. I'm not Navy SEAL. But as a lay person, if I got to protect him and shots ring out, I'm going to be folding him in half and ushering him out like they do in the movies. Like, I'm going to be forcing him into the car, making sure he's good. I'm not going to stand around him and go, okay, we're good. Like, you good? You ready, sir? Are we going? Like, you're gone, dude. And if you watched, he's got like 6 people around him, and they just kind of like form this barrier and then put their hands up and like move. Like, you can't hit him in the head if my hand is there. It was just weird to me. Watching it live, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
There's a few things that played into that in the aftermath, like where it makes more sense. But yeah, in real time, like, that didn't bother me so much because you could hear it. Like, again, there's camera angles and audio from everywhere. Yeah. So you hear shoot her down. Yeah. And like at that point, they still have him on the ground. Then you hear shoot her down. Like, okay, things are a little more safe now.
Not in my opinion.
No, I mean,
what if there's 2 shooters? What if there's 3 shooters? Like, exactly. You still don't let him stand.
I agree with you, but I'm saying in that it made sense why they had him hunkered down.
Yeah,
until
no,
they could confirm.
I'm not against that. I'm just saying when he stood up and was standing, they huddled around him and left his head completely exposed. And one dude's moving his hand in front of his head like that's the magic bullet stopper that's going to throw off any second gunman. Like, it just, I was watching it going, something just doesn't seem right about this.
Well, the fact that he got the fucking D team out there, that probably played into it a little bit.
Again.
And we could talk about the D team later, too.
And I do want to talk about the D team. However, you're still Secret Service. Like, I got to believe that's like saying, like, you're last place at the CrossFit Games. Like, you're still a bad motherfucker. You're still probably better than the average Joe off the street. Now, I'm not talking about the lady who couldn't put her gun back in the holster. I'm not talking about the DEI side of this. I'm just saying, in general, like, my expectations are, even if you are the D team Secret Service, you got to be better than that.
I agree. I also think too, it like, because you can hear Trump when they do stand him up, and he's sitting there. Wait, let me get my shoes on. Let me get my shoe on.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait. So you are the D team. You're not used to guarding Obama and Biden. Like, these aren't the people you deal with. This was a local team from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but again,
but then you get Donald Trump, the president of the United States, that says, "Fucking wait."
I don't buy it.
I buy it.
I'm not doing it, and I'm not Secret Service. He says, wait. I'm saying, fuck you, move. And I'm pushing him down the stairs. Like, old man, you're going to have a fall injury next after a bullet hole in your ear because I'm going to push you down those fucking stairs.
I think it's important to keep in mind that regardless if it's the A team, the B team, or like the movie, the A team that's guarding these guys.
That's the F team, but they're really the A team. Yeah.
I mean, you guys know as well as anybody, even when you're trained, I mean, it's a very dynamic.
For sure.
And that's
stressful
never happened to
situation.
those people before.
Secret Service, military, firefighters, doctors, all of those professions do great things in this world, obviously. But here's the fact of the matter: they're all human beings.
Sure.
True.
They are not. They're not superheroes. They are not immune to mistakes. They're not immune to emotion. They're not immune to it just because of their job.
And when you talk about the doctors, the first responders, cops, firefighters, all that, they weren't good on their first fire, their first surgery. They got good through repetition. This is the first president that got shot since Reagan. None of these
40
people have
years.
done
Yeah,
this.
but you're not talking about the fresh recruits that just came out of the academy. These people have some level of professional ability,
Training.
or they wouldn't be.
All
in
they
this,
have is training.
but they wouldn't be in this scenario. And again, you do typically in any incident, you're going to fall back on your lowest level of training. So you're telling me all 7 of the closest guarding people to the president, their lowest level of training was to stand there and let the president do what he wants?
Well,
Like, maybe 1 or 2, I get it, but you don't have one guy in there going, "Hey, grab his fucking arm and let's go." You don't have the senior fireman in there going, "Hey, I know it's hot, fucking go."
Here's the thing: even the senior fireman in this scenario, as it was, has zero experience.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's something that was just weird about that.
it looks goofy, but I get it.
You go through a million training scenarios. Your job is to protect the president.
Again, it's training. They've never done it.
But you still have a base level. Your base level is
never
not
done
standard.
it.
It doesn't matter.
They're probably
You
next
never
time
take-
they're like, "Hey, we're
okay,
doing
so
this."
you're in the academy. You learn how to take a plug. You go through rep after rep after rep after rep. You get on a live fire and you go to take a plug. If it's a fucked up hydrant, you might struggle, but you know how to take a plug. You don't stop and stand and go, I've never done this live before. I don't know what to do.
Well, I think an important dynamic to this too is we're making these opinions, and everybody's going to make their opinion, based off of whatever they think, off of what they saw or video or report that they saw. But at the end of the day, like, exactly what happened might have been the perfect scenario for the Secret Service. Like, maybe that's exactly what they were supposed to
Where
do.
they wanted to wait it out.
But I'm just saying, like, obviously
Yeah.
there's a
I understand.
threat. There's a threat in the area. The president just got shot. He's down. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone dogpile on him so that if he does get shot at again, somebody else is taking the round. Now you stand up. And
to me, that
it's
seems
Donald
reasonable.
Trump, the narcissist. The shooter's confirmed down. He stands up and he's obviously in an emotional moment. He almost just got fucking killed.
Yeah.
And,
His
he wants
first thought
and
were
everybody's
shoes.
chanting USA.
Makes
Nobody's
sense.
running. It's not chaotic as much anymore in the second 30 seconds of that incident as the first. So obviously them holding a hand in front of their face or in front of his face, is that going to probably stop him from getting killed? No, but that's obvious. It's obvious to me that from what I saw, they recognized exactly what you're saying, Steve. Just based off of them trying to, I know it wasn't all the time, but his hand was in front of his head and like they're trying to block him and he's telling them no. And Donald Trump is still living. He's breathing. You guys know, like, moving humans and picking up people, especially like if they're not injured and like there's this like stress and there's like a bunch of people pulling you different directions. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do you like? Hold, like, everyone just hold the fuck on.
All 3 of you could try your hardest to drag me out of this room right now. I guarantee you I could stop for a moment, throw up a fist.
Yeah. I mean, like,
But his stopping and throwing up a fist wasn't fighting against everybody. His throwing up a fist was unattested. He stood there and everybody stood around him. They weren't trying to drag him and he threw up a fist.
I'm not saying that what I think they did is right, or like, I mean, it could have been. It could have been exactly right. I don't know Secret Service protocol. It could have been exactly right. Appearance wise, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was right, but I get it.
So I'm not saying I know their protocol any more than that either. And all I'm saying is, witnessing it live, these are the thoughts that were going through my head.
They were
because
too slow.
Something seemed there wasn't even just one. There was so many things that seemed weird. You just have this life-threatening incident. You realize you got blood coming down. You hear gunshots. Secret Service is jumping on you, and your first reaction is, "Hold on, let me get my shoes." Like,
Hold
just
on.
shit was weird.
You try to be an 80-something-year-old man and move without your orthotics.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Maybe you need those Crocs, those high-tread Crocs.
I think if there's any potential for conspiracy of this whatsoever, if you want to put your tinfoil hat on for this, like, okay, but it's, in my opinion, it stops the moment that bullet hits his ear or the shooter's down. Like, after, like, whatever happens after, like, in that, like, at that exact moment where he's standing and the people that come and rush him and everything that happens, whatever could have been conspired, it ends at that moment.
With all due respect, I
not-
100% disagree.
I'm just saying, I'm basing that based off of, like, I'm thinking about the Secret Service agents, like, and I'm saying that because there's no way that there's that many high-level government agents that are involved in this conspiracy to keep him on the stage longer for him to get shot again.
But once again, if it's all compartmentalized like any other conspiracy potentially could be, this could have been something from within the Secret Service where they let something happen. And
CIA, like Kennedy.
absolutely. So when I say conspiracy related, I'm not saying all of this is a setup or part of it is a setup. I'm saying when I watched this live, there were just things that I'm watching going, this just looks scripted. It looks orchestrated. It looks like a WWE event where the guy gets hit and drops down. You're asking
I'm saying
like,
from
I don't
what?
know.
No, I'm saying from what angle? For the people that are trying to kill him, or from Trump?
Again, don't know. I'm just saying, watching it, something looks off.
Because I'll make an argument to you why there's no fucking chance in hell that Trump did this to himself.
Because he's leading in every poll.
There's a lot of that. Number one.
Okay.
Ballistics 101. I mean,
let's say this. Let's say, hey, you guys, I want you to get an assassination attempt on me. Cool. Hey, get the best sniper you possibly can in the fucking world because I need him to hit my ear.
Yeah.
No, we got a 20-year-old kid. What?
So I didn't see any footage of the bullet actually hitting the ear. I saw him grab his ear. He drops. He stands up. There's blood.
I saw pink mist come off of his ear.
Okay, see, I didn't see that.
The moment it like clearly hits his ear and he flinches, there's pink mist.
I see him flinch and grab his ear. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but I'm just saying watching it live, I didn't see the pink mist, and I was watching going, this looks like the WWE guy that's get hit in the corner, and then all of a sudden there's nothing there, and he stands up after he covers his face, and now he's got blood on it. It's like,
but think about this too.
Just look weird.
If you were going to stage your own assassination, number one, I'm not getting that fucking kid to like, hey, just wing me, okay? Don't kill me, just wing me. Get some fucking dipshit 20.
You're making it sound like I think Trump orchestrated
I'm
this.
talking about everybody
okay.
that's saying that his like this was staged. Trump put this on. It's a false flag for Trump type thing. Like, no, he didn't. Like, again, before the debate, he was leading. After the debate, he was leading. In some polls, he was leading by almost double digits, which is fucking unheard of.
Yeah.
Swing states are possibly going, like, we're talking New York, Pennsylvania up for grabs for Trump after the debate. You know what? Let's cement this with a fucking fake assassination. Like, there's no reason to do that. And then number two, again, you're going to trust that this 20-year-old kid is going to just barely wing me, like not fire a shot in the air. Like, hey, I need him to actually hit me. Not a chance he's doing that. And then number three, if you were going to bypass all of that stuff and say we're doing it anyway, why would you do it where there is so many camera angles? Yeah. Everybody had a cell phone there from every conceivable angle, including audio.
Sure.
So even when you talk about him dropping to the ground, like WWE, Blood Pack, Razor, like there's videos of him at the ground at that moment, seeing through people's legs, Secret Service, everything. There's video angles of all that shit. Stills, everything.
Yeah. So again, my belief in it being isn't that it's orchestrated. It's just that there's a lot of, it wasn't just one thing was off. And I was like, oh, this is weird. There's so many things that are off. And I would say that if this was orchestrated, it doesn't stop when he gets hit with the bullet. If this is orchestrated, it's because you have a 20-something no-name dude that they have eyewitness accounts of him pacing by the metal detector, being uncomfortable, and people pointing that out to authorities. You have the same kid holding a rifle, putting a ladder up, climbing a ladder where people will see it and they tell the authorities. You have the same guy who's on the roof. They tell the cop, he boosts up and looks at the guy on the deal and allegedly has the rifle pointed at him and drops down. Like, you have all these things going on that seem to be let happen. Like, how does this guy still climb to the most exposed, obvious spot and nobody smokes this dude?
So
that's where my thought of conspiracy comes in, is it's a lie hop.
My comment about the conspiracy stopping is, again, it goes back to I believe that at least that everybody that was within seemingly arm's reach of Trump at the time when he got shot, whatever reactions that those individuals had was completely genuine.
Okay.
In the moment. Anything before or after that, because their information that gets changed or whatever, whatever comes out in the report, okay. Yeah. But I think genuinely, like, that they were obviously very
Doing what they were
stressed,
trying to-
surprised, and doing
Trying to
like
do
what
the
they
best
were
they
trained
could.
to do. the
So,
best that they
so when
could
you talk about the lie hop, the let it happen on purpose, wouldn't me? It could be either in the moment or ahead of time. They knew this kid was going to do it. But to Junior's point, a lot of people have to be in on that. The main Secret Service HQ has to be on it. Like, hey, we're just going to let this kid do whatever. The snipers on the roof have to be in on it. All the local law enforcement has to be in on it because every one of them was warned. So they all have to be in on it, right? Because not one of those people is going to let him do it unless they're just incompetent. And that's where I always go back to is never kind of attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence.
Yeah.
I think they were just incompetent. They were complacent.
Even the snipers? You think he's so Secret Service is D team, the snipers are all D team too? And they're not
The sniper.
No, the sniper, the video that I've seen of the snipers, right when the shots happen, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say like
they fire immediately after.
It's not a good look, number one, for those guys. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, but from my view of that video of the two snipers above Trump, I mean, they flinched and like thought that they were getting shot at, which is understandable because when they see a gunman on a roof, they're at basically, I mean, if you know anything about long range shooting, and that this wasn't long range, but he's using a scope, like if you're anywhere near Trump and you're looking at that shooter, it's going to appear that shooter is aiming his rifle right at you.
Sure.
So when those guys are lining up to get ready to smoke him and then he lets off a round, they just see a flash go out of his muzzle and they don't know, like, just because they're not the president of the United States, they still have a gun.
Still a reaction.
They're trained. So they flinch and go down. And then obviously, like, you hear that, some shots ring out. I don't know. I don't even know if it was those two guys that ended up killing him.
I don't know either.
Right.
I think that's what they said it was. And this one part seems weird to me because of the nature of the job of being Secret Service is you're there to protect the president. But I had heard from a couple different sources that, and this isn't me personally talking to anybody in the Secret Service, but people that talked to people within the Secret Service, their rules of engagement is not to engage first. If I see Junior has a gun, I don't just shoot him because he has a gun. He's got to level it at me.
Yeah.
So that was theirs as well, from what I heard. So,
yeah, because there's so many undercover agents, Secret Service guys, and in a lot of those scenarios, local law enforcement, whatever, that are running protection, that you don't know who's who. And to that point, I mean, it's actually, they can't fire unless it's 110% certainty is what is like their standard, basically, especially in a scenario like that.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, think about, how volatile this election cycle has been and currently is, clearly. And you're in charge of protecting one of the most popular and hated guys in our country right now. There's clearly a lot of people that don't want him doing what he's doing. There's clearly a lot of people that do. So if you're guarding him and you make the call to smoke some dude and it's the wrong decision, like, how much is that going to affect not only your life personally and your job and your livelihood, but also the Trump campaign and like that? I mean, you cannot have that.
You can't take that shot on a potentially innocent person.
You can't,
potentially,
especially when you've just had almost 8 years straight of going to all these events. I'm not saying all the Secret Service are always the same, but it is the same, going to all these events and nothing happens.
Yeah.
You get complacent, which is more what I feel.
Do you think it's possible, because we had this conversation about why those snipers didn't take the shot, is even if you see a guy climbing on a roof with a rifle, which they can clearly see through their scopes because they know he has a rifle and they haven't shot and they're waiting because they want to be 110%. Do you think that it's possible that with so many different agencies there and so many different channels and comms, like you see, like with us on an event where if PD's there, we've got our liaison, but PD's got a channel, we've got our channel. Sometimes we have a staging and a transportation and a safety channel. Like, do you think it's possible that they were curious ahead of time, but like trying to navigate that through the channels to find out for sure?
Our PD here can't even talk to each other.
It's on a much smaller scale.
But there's so many different agencies involved with that, which is what we talked about is more than likely, like you're saying, what happened, even though it didn't look right. And I think that something was off initially when we started talking about it, is that they were trying to get confirmation that that wasn't somebody from another agency.
Well, because you see the one sniper, he's
dialed it. Yeah. The other one
like,
didn't take his eyes off him.
He's like, fuck, I don't know. He's away from the scope, back on it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot like when you talk about the different agencies not communicating, you think of it on a much larger scale, but like 9/11, where the NSA wasn't communicating with the CIA, CIA wasn't communicating with the FBI. All the information's out there, but no one's talking.
Yeah.
So it could have been something very similar to that.
Well, and you guys, I mean, at work, like you've seen on calls and big incidents, like where there's PD or, you know, Homeland or whatever.
Yeah,
like
what channel they on?
Yeah, and like you'll see like TLO guys that are like holding 3 different radios and, you know.
Well, and not only that, like that takes
texting
training
on their cell phone at
that
the same
takes
time,
training, and you go
know?
through the training all the time, and then you have to do it live. You're like, oh shit, that training was 6 months ago. Like, what's the order model again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, here's the hard part of this. The hard part is it was so close. It was in the middle. Like he was. I mean, it wasn't. This dude wasn't 1,000 yards away.
No,
man.
it was 130 yards.
And I when I understood there, when I found that fact out, like it makes more sense that they would be confused on if that was one of their guys or
like,
not.
why is this motherfucker right next to me?
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, dude, I mean, it's just a blatant breakdown of communication, complacency.
Well, did you hear what the head of the Secret Service said? I can't remember what her name is. Did you hear what she said this morning?
Cheadle?
Yeah, Don Cheadle.
No, something Cheadle.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Barbara?
I can't remember her name.
Kimberly.
There you go,
She looks
Kimberly
like Kimberly.
Cheadle.
Yeah.
She said that the reason there was not snipers on that particular rooftop is because there was too big of a slope. Too big.
Not big enough for a
that.
20-year-old amateur.
Not to mention the actual snipers that were providing cover were on a roof with a steeper incline. Like that pitch was much steeper on the snipers than they were on that one. Like to me, that's the most ridiculous explanation. There's going to be hearings about this. All the communication is going to come out between agencies, but she fucking laid away local or state. I think it was local or state. She laid them away right away. Like that wasn't our area of responsibility. There were fucking cops inside the building he was on.
Yeah, I mean, and it sucks for those local guys that's going to happen. And you know what it ultimately boils down to is they're undertrained and undermanned or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. But they're not Secret Service people. They don't do like, yeah, they're cops. They have an understanding of the job, but they don't understand how to protect dignitaries of.
This is Bethel, PA.
Countries.
This
Like,
isn't New York City, Washington D.C., Chicago. This is Bethel, Pennsylvania.
yeah,
Like.
I mean, it again, it sucks for those guys, but I mean, if it wasn't if that wasn't how the plan was, and it wasn't their responsibility to have that shit cleared on their end, or like, which I'm sure it was before, but in the moment, if somebody was responsible for that area, then that's their responsibility.
The thing that looks so bad for everybody involved, Secret Service, local, state, is that the crowd is telling them 2-3 minutes beforehand, this son of a bitch is on the roof. He's got a gun. Yeah. Whatever. Shut up. That, like, what the fuck? How do you not investigate that? Everybody is telling you there's this guy on the roof crawling with a gun. Like, apparently he went up there one time with a rangefinder, came back down, got his rifle, went back up. Like,
So, but this is a 20-year-old kid who allegedly tried out for his shooting team in high school and didn't make the team because he was a bad shot.
thank God.
He's an untrained, you know, marksman, and he's gonna be able to solo do all this stuff without involvement or assistance of any other agency, make the roof and take 5 shots at the presidential candidate.
But I'll
Like,
tell you
nobody
this.
thinks that that's weird.
If he was assisted, like, I think they would have gave him some optics. He's shooting fucking iron sights from 130 yards out.
Or is it just the optics of what the event that's taking place and what that does?
So if somebody wanted the president dead, don't you make sure you get a shooter that can do it?
Maybe
Give
it's
them the tools to
50-50.
do it.
Maybe it's the billionaires going, hey, let's
Roll the dice on this
You think
one?
we get an amateur to be able to pull this off? I got $1 billion that says we can.
I mean, that's not it's not a tough shot. I mean, obviously he's a millimeter away from killing him.
I think it's a tough shot when you're attempting to assassinate the president. Like, what are your nerves like?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an aspect of that for just anybody, but especially a young kid.
Well, you deal with it all the time. Guys are about to, shoot an elk or something.
Yeah,
They freeze.
Yeah, it's called buck fever, man.
There you go.
It affects people for sure. I mean, you obviously don't know the person that did it, his mental state. You know, was he on some drugs or Adderall?
I'm gonna say he was unstable.
But yeah, I mean, clearly he's unstable. But I guess the point being is, you know, it's 150 yards.
Yeah,
That's nothing.
it's not a tough shot. No,
That's nothing.
like if you know how to shoot a little bit, it's not a tough shot.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense that he would have missed a little bit to the left. I mean, usually, you know, the rifling inside it, so a barrel inside of it has rifling. There's grooves that spin the bullet that give it more velocity, and a lot of times those. The rifling in that is spun a certain direction.
Yeah,
and a lot of
counter.
Yeah, a lot of times it's counterclockwise. So for the cold bore shot for him, since his rifle wasn't warm, it makes sense that it would go left, which is exactly what happened.
So you think he was aimed more center and then it pulled left?
Yeah, because there's like even at 150 yards, it doesn't matter if there's a little wind, if there's a little gust that comes through, whatever it may be. I mean, it's gonna throw his round off for sure. And then the follow up rounds after that, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's movement. There's just he's not a seasoned shooter to be able to handle that.
And a seasoned shooter is gonna freaking aim center mass to begin with. You're gonna shoot that guy right in the chest. You're not gonna go for the smallest, like.
Yeah.
No, you're just not going for the head.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kid, which really is crazy to me, is a radicalized 20-year-old kid. Okay, maybe not even radicalized because apparently, like, he's Republican. His parents own a lot of guns. Like, he could be a right-leaning type kid. He could just be super mentally unstable. Like anybody that wants to shoot up a school is like the guy that shot Reagan. He did it to impress Jodie Foster. Like you don't have to be radicalized. You could just be fucking nuts.
Lonely.
Well, and with Jodie, I mean, if you think about it, the last pretty much since Obama, like the last election of Obama, I mean, the rhetoric in this country, it's like. This election is do or die. This guy's
we're never going to have another election. Democracy is on the line.
It's ruining democracy.
So, ultimately, that's been the narrative for 8 straight years. And people that are extremists, whatever, I mean, at some point, somebody's going to get the balls to do it just because they feel that strongly about it.
Well, yeah, say you're a lunatic and you're this close to doing something like that on a daily basis. And the rhetoric, like you said, has been, he's a fascist. He's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to the way of our life. This is going to be the last election we ever had. He's going to put people in camps. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. It doesn't take that much to push that one unstable individual over the line. It's not going to do that to any of us. We're just going to whatever.
Well, not to mention, to piggyback onto that, have you guys seen the montage of clips of all the different Dems saying Trump needs to be taken out. He needs to have a bullseye on his back. We need to put the crosshairs on him. We need to, eliminate him.
Well, I think
repeatedly.
I think to a normal person, that's just political rhetoric.
Sure.
It is what it is.
But now, hindsight, you look back, and you're it's kind of a big deal.
Well, when you speak to that unstable individual,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It just takes that kind
so
of.
So they talk about how it's funny because with the whole January 6th, the deal, they would sit and talk about how everything Trump said was to fire up his people, his supporters, and get them to go do something violent. How could this not be looked at as the same thing because somebody went? Now, granted, Trump, he was allegedly a registered Republican.
Well, Trump, many times before, I could say the one difference in Trump's rhetoric was not we got to put him in the cross eyes. We got to go get him. His was hey, you should beat you should beat the shit out of these protesters. He has said actual violent shit.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the January 6th one specifically.
Oh yeah,
where he said, we're going to go peacefully. He's quoted as saying it multiple times. We're going peacefully. Nobody doing anything bad. But they're saying you spun it up to be what it is. How is it any different than the Dems using their words to get some radical to go do something?
I don't think it's any different. But the one thing I could think is Trump's actual violent rhetoric or his entire rhetoric the whole time. Then you get all those people in a crowd. They're this close anyway. You're not getting the most stable people to go to Washington, D.C.
Either crowd.
Yeah. And then you get them whipped into a frenzy and it doesn't take much, right?
Well, and then you add into our culture right now of just being complete narcissists and everybody wants to be famous and the celebrity and to know their name. I mean, you add that in, especially the likelihood of somebody getting a hold of this kid and like it being planned out with this 20-year-old weirdo that just graduated high school 2 years ago, like, I mean, it's so far-fetched to me, man. I mean, it just is.
I get where people say it, but like when you look at it in totality, like add up everything, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I see in the spur of the moment, you're like, oh shit, they tried to kill him. It was a plot. Okay. I mean, I could see, but the funniest thing about that to me is all the people on the left saying that this was designed by Trump, like Trump did this to himself, like how quickly they turned into crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Well, like you've been talking shit about right-wing people for how long?
Well, but just to add to that, you say, you know, a lot of people say like, why would Trump do this? Because he was leading in every poll, and ever since the debate, he's been up. But you also have people saying he's the biggest egotist in the world, and that this is right up his alley. Like this is something he would totally pull just because he's got the ego.
I could see,
just to be one more thing, like, look at me, I survived an assassination attempt. Like,
oh, does he enjoy the fuck out of it right now? Absolutely.
Although we'll touch back on that. Did you see him at the RNC last night?
No.
He did not look happy.
I missed it.
He was very somber. He wasn't doing his typical jerk off dance.
He's probably drained.
He was
physically and emotionally.
Like getting back to this, like, could he stay? Is he enjoying the attention? Like, I survived this. Fuck yeah, he probably is. Because again, he's a narcissist. But would you say, hey, I need you to wing me out there today?
Yeah.
Fuck no. This is a guy that jumped out of his seat when an eagle flapped its wings next to you. He's not saying, hey, just wing me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not happening.
Well, and to that point, man, like, in my opinion, I mean, the fact that we have our leaders of this nation, regardless of what side of the aisle that you're on, like, that can't even just for 5 seconds put their sword down and realize that a human being almost just got savagely murdered in front of us all, and apparently a very influential human being that's going to have a lot, that could potentially have a lot of, you know, I guess, depending on what side you're on, benefit or not in your life, but he's extremely an important human right now. And the fact that you guys can't even just put your swords down and just bite your tongue on a conspiracy theory and just try and unite the country and you know, I guess what I'm saying, in my opinion, I mean, that's you, if you're one of those people, man, and like, I mean, I have no problem saying it. I voted for Donald Trump. I'll vote for Donald Trump again. But just because that's the case, in my opinion, if the moment you see the video of that dude standing up and putting his fist into the crowd, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, if you do not feel moved by that moment in time as a human being, you are not only what is wrong with this country, but you are what's wrong with this entire world.
I would
agree.
Totally agree with
I think that was very well said.
So there's a couple of people I listen to that are pretty fucking liberal, but they have a lot of good points on things. So Cenk from the Young Turks and another dude named Hassan Piker, they're both pretty fucking liberal. But in that moment, they both said, that's a pretty fucking badass picture.
Oh yeah.
he's like, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Trump 2024, like, that's a great picture.
You can't beat that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on a human level, man. I mean, there's plenty of people in this world I don't like. I think Joe Biden as a terrible president will be a terrible one if he wins.
Yeah, you
again,
wouldn't hope he would get assassinated.
Regardless if he was a candidate or the actual president, like, clearly they're both front runners. Regardless, like, if either one of them got shot on national television and have as much power and influence as they have, regardless if you like the guy, vote for him or not, it is going to affect your life. Yeah. In some capacity.
Yeah.
I think Adam and I were talking, and this is like the biggest thing to happen in the U.S. since 9/11.
Probably,
pretty close.
Yeah. I can't, like, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I mean
riots and COVID and shit. But
Boston. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple, but this is,
those events, like, you can even bring in mass shootings like Sandy Hook, things like that. But when you talk about, like, just the scale of things, a presidential assassination attempt's pretty fucking big.
You brought up Sandy Hook, so I have to say that. Did you see Alex Jones's quote?
Which quote?
He said, so everybody's calling this to be a conspiracy. Now everybody has to pay Trump $1 billion, right? Isn't that how this works? He's like, that's pretty much how it works, right?
Oh, man.
It's true.
I think, Alex, you fucking better watch it.
Yeah, you might want to back off.
Like, what are they
going
going to do? Sue me for another billion I don't have?
I was listening to, I mean, I know he's really extreme, but he was on Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon did a podcast like right after it happened, and he had Alex on there, and it was, he's extreme, obviously, but there's a lot of things that have lined up that he's was telling the truth about that everyone was giving him shit for 20 years ago.
That's
but
the thing. If you just listen to him at whatever moment in time, he sounds like a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
But if you can like parse out a lot of the things that he's been talking about, like it is scary how some of those things, like, holy shit, nothing more creepy than him talking about 9/11 before it happened. This is going to happen, and they're going to blame
naming
a guy
people by
named
name.
Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Osama bin Laden wasn't totally unknown because he, blew up the USS Cole and all that. But the fact that he said this is going to happen, and this is who they're going to blame, and then it happened.
Yeah,
like maybe we need, like he might not be Nostradamus, but we should at least pay attention to what he's saying. Let's not discount him.
Yeah, I mean, he is pretty adamant that he thinks that they're just going to keep trying to get rid of him. But
Trump?
Yeah.
I think there's so much hate for him from a lot of people. You talk about the security state, all the 3-letter agencies, all the Democrats, all of the liberal people out there. There's a lot of hate for Trump.
Think about how much money is on the side of that hate too, Johnny. I mean, like I'm saying this from the point of like Trump is anti-war. He does not want war at all.
Well,
think about the war machine and the influence and
people have been killed for less.
Yeah, like dude, it ain't shit to them, man. And that's the thing with the conspiracy to me. Like, let's go down the conspiracy theory road. Put your tinfoil hat on, and even if you think that this was an inside job, there's just, in my opinion, there's no way that it's either the left or the right. It's a whole deep state thing. There's so much money and influential people that don't want Trump and have money invested in this candidate and have been giving to this lobbyist and doing all this shit for their own benefit for whatever they're doing in life. Like, I'm just saying the resources and power of those people
to that point, they can do better than a 20-year-old kid.
The United States government and Secret Service officials.
Well, who do you think makes the government go? It's all the corporations.
Yeah, exactly.
They could, but again, if you're talking about all that money, influence, power, they could do better than this dipshit 20-year-old. They could, in a major metropolitan area, they could have a sniper and a hide at any moment in time and kill somebody.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it doesn't happen all the time because you are so vulnerable when you're in public.
Yeah, Johnny, but like what? Like, okay, so then let's say that bullet's 1 inch to the right and it blows his head off. I mean, but it's the same kid. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's a very makeable shot.
Yeah, I agree.
It's clearly in the middle of the crowd where nobody expected this to happen. Like,
but I'm saying,
just go up there, man. Like, whatever.
But I'm saying it doesn't have to be a big conspiracy. They could have one of their guys like, hey, I'm Mr. Joe Powerful in the world. I'm worth $1 trillion. Yeah. Junior, you're my fucking right hand man, and you're the best shot in the fucking world. I need you to make this. I need you to plot out a spot and get him killed. It doesn't need to be this grand thing like the 20-year-old kid, the Secret Service, we're all in on it. No, it's just you and me. Take the shot. I got the money, you have the knowledge.
I believe in that side of a conspiracy of something happening more so than anything else. Even though it looked weird to me, and I've said that multiple times, I believe in that as being something. But I would imagine there's different levels of plausible deniability. And if you get a 20-year-old, and like Junior said, that's an easy shot. It's 150 out. Like if you have any shooting experience whatsoever, like you're probably going to be able to hit that. The fact that he missed his mark by millimeters because Trump turned his head at the right time. I mean, he doesn't turn his head. They've shown the trajectory in the ballistics. I mean, that's through his head and through his brain. He's dead. That kid did his job.
Yeah,
if that bullet hits anything,
look at that right there. That's it.
If that bullet hit any further to the right, I'm talking a millimeter, because it would. But the thing with bullets is it went straight through his ear because there's nothing blocking it, obviously. But if it would have just caught the temple, it's just gonna grab on and it's gonna expand and it's gonna literally explode the back of his head.
That's a different story if we're talking about that.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, just looking at it for 2 days here, I just think it's a fucking crazy kid. I mean, again, people don't need to be radicalized. They don't need to be paid. You could just be fucking nuts.
I just think about all the different things that had to happen perfectly for him to be up there and not get caught, not get smoked, not get stopped before it ever happened. Like that to me is the weird part.
I think it's total
He's
incompetence.
just a 20-year-old kid, and he just lucked out at a presidential convention for a presidential candidate that he was able to make it through all these things and just luckily was up there and able to take multiple shots.
Again, you'd have to have multiple agencies in on it. It would have to be all the locals, the state, and the Secret Service that would all say, "Have at it, kid." Not one of them would have stopped him. Not one. Like out of all, those
no one
agencies.
did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think you're getting that many people on board.
Yeah, but in this day and age, you get that many chances, that many times. It just doesn't seem right.
I think, and I am not saying in any way I would ever do this, ever in a million years. I would not.
But you think you could?
I would. Fuck yes.
You think you could make it before getting stopped?
If I. God
But you
damn,
would be. But
I hate
you
even saying this guy.
but you would be a lot more stealthy about it. That's the thing. Is like somebody who is a little more tactical about it may be able to pull that off and maybe get killed in the end, whatever. But you aren't walking out in the open and being weird around metal detectors. You aren't carrying your rifle up a ladder out in the open. Like that's just weird.
It is so weird. It's to the point where like, what the fuck? What's going on? Does that kid have a gun? No. It's like it's almost like you can't believe what's happening.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you've seen that before at some point in your life. You're like, what is that? You can't believe it because it's so weird and out of place. I mean, I could see that happening. Not saying that is what happened, but I could see it.
On the conspiracy side of it, the one thing that definitely makes me raise my eyebrow is why the Biden administration was trying to get rid of Trump's Secret Service protection a few months ago.
So maybe for the same reason that they didn't give RFK Jr. Secret Service, they said, hey, we need to pass this law that gets rid of Secret Service for convicted felons, which maybe he would have been better off having his own private security as opposed to those clowns. So there was that, but right after this, they did give RFK Jr. Secret Service protection, and they did pull his Secret Service detail. They sent the A-team over to Jill Biden that day because she had something in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia.
I remember hearing about that.
So they sent the A-team over to Jill Biden to cover, and apparently that's straight up protocol. That's what happens. You go to the more high value target, and the first lady she gets top priority. So they brought in agents from Pittsburgh. Again, even less qualified. Like, who are you guarding in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that aspect is tough for me. And I understand, like, you know, there's timing, coincidence, but there's just, to Steve's point, there's certain things that line up with this, and it goes even like into Biden's poor performance of the debate. That was a huge news thing just a week ago. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that the Biden administration is directly involved in this. Is there people that support the Biden administration that could be directly involved in this? Yeah, sure. Or others that could give two fucks and just want anarchy in the world or whatever, like, sure. But that definitely is just, that's a weird one for me, is the Secret Service stuff and moving pieces around. And it's just, you know, I get there's protocols, but I think
this is why I wouldn't think it would come from anybody in Biden's camp at all, or anybody that wanted Biden to be president, because I truly believe this, and I heard other top-ranking people say this who know what they're talking about. If you get rid of Trump, whoever they replace him with is fucking guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
Number one, almost any candidate can beat Biden. Biden is a horrible candidate right now. That's why everybody wants him out to begin with. Like, there's members, donors, we've talked about this before, they want him replaced. He's a very beatable candidate, regardless of whatever good he's done. People, even in the Democratic Party, who believe in what he's done, want him out because they say he can't win, he can't beat Trump. And they also say that any fucking buddy, any moderate Republican could beat Trump or beat Biden at this point. So why would you get rid of a guy that the next guy is almost a shoe-in to beat you? It doesn't make sense politically. You talk about money from wherever, big corporations, war machine, all that makes more sense than politics.
100%.
Have you guys seen all the fake? This is what I was worried about, and I told Adam about this. I was worried about all of the AI generated and all the fake news and all that stuff coming out afterwards. Just not just the conspiracy theory side or thinking that something was off, but they've had multiple videos, there was a picture of the sniper. Allegedly, I think it started on 4chan and people started circulating it. But the sniper said, I had it saved. They said, my name is something Willis. I was the sniper. on the roof in the famous picture.
You got the wrong guy.
No, not that,
that one?
This is the sniper, and he said the Secret Service sniper.
Oh, gotcha.
The counter sniper. And so this guy right here, this is the deal. And so if you read the fine text in the bottom, it says his name. He's the guy in the picture. The reason he didn't take the shot is because he cleared over comms, requesting to take the shot, saying that they had this guy, and they kept making him hold until the shot was fired, and then they greenlit him. So this came out.
Which sounds like protocol.
Well, and this came out, and everybody was like, that's bullshit. Like, if you're a secret, and this came in from people who had worked in security details, especially like high value target deal, and they said that you don't have to wait. When you're guarding the president, you don't have to wait. It's not like the movies. You don't have to wait for orders to be cleared to fire. You see a threat, you take it out. You're authorized to take the shot. So then it came out that this is actually fake. So people started digging, and they found out like this guy doesn't exist. This name isn't real. That's not the name of the dude that was in the Secret Service. It's a sniper. So there's all these things coming out. And then, like you said, there's a video that's allegedly the kid, and he's got his face in the camera. It's supposed to be somebody else who looks like the kid, but he says, I'm so-and-so, I was a shooter, and you got the wrong guy. And so all this shit was coming out. So there's all these fakes. Just with all the misinformation shit, I just wonder, like, where does it go? Now that it's multiple days later, all the shit they're going to be able to create, where does it go?
And this is why you actually need to be able to trust mainstream media, because you would like to trust them as a credible source, and they are so fucking off the reservation. You can't trust them fully. So, I mean, they're doing themselves just such a disservice by being such pieces of shit. Yeah. Just report the news, and then we'd all watch you. We'd all believe you. And if you wanted to pull the fucking wool over our eyes, you easily could, because you have a record of credibility.
Yeah.
But you don't. Fucking disgusting. You talk about all this stuff on social media, AI fakes and this. I'm sure you guys have seen how many people have lost their mind that Trump survived.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's
lost
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling Adam, there was somebody posted something from even like from the Tenacious D concert. And Kyle Gass,
Jack Black's
fucking, guy.
Yeah.
He was like, oh man, next time don't miss. Like, dude, and the crowd cheers. It's like, what the fuck, man? What is wrong with
To Jack Black's credit, he fucking canceled the whole tour.
Oh, he did?
And he said, I don't know about any other future creative endeavors. So yeah, he came out with that this morning. I was like, all right, good for you, man. Because
they've been friends for a long time.
He's a raging Democrat himself. I mean, he was out there raising money for Biden with Clooney and all the rest of them. Yeah. So I mean, he's a big Democrat. So yeah, good for him for actually sticking up for normal human decency.
Yeah.
Like, why does everybody want somebody dead so much? I get not wanting him to win. Like, okay, even as far as like, okay, he's a convicted felon, put him in jail. Like, okay, I'm happy now. But dead? Yeah. He's still a human. He's got family. He's got friends. Like, come on. Like, be better.
Yeah, Adam pulled this up. This is the Trump assassination attempt, Donald Trump wall of hate. And everybody just sends in all their stuff about the assassination missing.
Yeah, you people are gross.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm also finding pretty fucking annoying is, I normally find it entertaining and enlightening, is the Libs of TikTok chick. She puts out a lot of stuff, but she's like made it her mission since this came out to go ahead and try to get every one of these people canceled, just like you're some fucking raging liberal.
Really?
Yeah, she's going on fucking just a rage of trying to get everybody canceled. She's outing everybody, saying where they work, go get them, this and that. Like, you're becoming the exact...
The people who were upset about the attempt, the failed attempt.
Yeah. So she's telling everybody to go get them, tell them where they work.
So she's trying to incite violence in a different stage.
This is everything that supposedly people on the right hate, cancel culture, right? Go get, like, these people had a shitty moment. They said something really dumb online, and now you're getting them fired from their job. Like, cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you dislike Trump that much. I don't care if you fucking wished he was dead. Like, I don't want you to lose your livelihood, and God knows what that spiral leads to. You're losing your family, you're losing your kids, committing suicide, trying to go commit an assassination yourself. Who knows? Like, leave the people alone. Like, if they're miserable pieces of shit, just let them be miserable pieces of shit all on their own.
Kind of back to what Junior said, though, about how they're saying, like, this is just going to be a repeated thing. Like, that's my concern is next is people trying to copycat, people trying to go to one up, or now that, like,
look how easy that was.
Well, it's like anywhere, like as soon as the first shot's been fired, it's completely easier for everybody else to go, oh, okay, well, I can do that. And it's almost like it's open season. Like, okay, cool, man. Like,
it could be. I think this is going to be like, anytime something goes wrong in our job, like, there's training afterwards, things change, MPs change. I think it's going to be one of those things for Secret Service. Like, some things got to change.
Yeah.
Like, cause I know it, don't ask me to what extent, but I remember hearing there was big changes in the Secret Service after Reagan got shot. Cause that dude was within like 5 feet of him.
Yeah.
just ran up on him, was right there. Now you're not allowed to get anywhere close to presidents like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, things will change.
Well, hopefully you saw that that Kimberly Cheadle, the head of the Secret Service, she was saying, I'm going to get the year wrong because I'm paraphrasing, but it was like by 2025 or 2026, she wanted all 30% of the Secret Service to be women DEI hires. So we'll see how much that training affects it. That was her quote.
So two heads of the DEI. If you can, number one, if you want more women and try to recruit them more heavily, that's one thing. But to hire somebody just because they are a woman, that's where it gets pretty fucking sketchy.
Yeah.
Like if you meet a woman, she trains, goes through the whole thing, and she's capable, by all means, hire her.
Adam has the video of the female Secret Service officer trying to put her gun away.
God, that is terrible video.
She struggled.
Here's my thought on that, on the DEI piece. Just like when it comes to like the specific individual that you're guarding, like I saw, what was there, 3 women there? 2 women?
Well, 2 for sure, at least 2.
There was 2 women, and neither of them, or both of them, looked like they were half the size of Donald Trump.
Trump's a big guy though, too.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not talking shit on women. I'm just saying, like, even if the guy, if you had the most savage assassins of all time guarding him, but they were
ninjas,
but they were 6 inches shorter than Trump, like, there's probably not a lot of benefit to that. Do you think? Because your body's supposed to protect him from getting hit.
Well, I think when they show these,
duck, motherfucker.
both of the Secret Service women, like none of them got up front. That one of them's hiding in back, and she's like kind of away. She's not even in the group.
That one's got potential to be hot. You need to see her face.
There you go. Make sure you put your hand in front of. Oh, like they're not pushing him. They just
such a gangster fucking moment.
Yeah.
The thing that caught me in that moment. Look at the bingo wings on that lady.
Jesus. Bingo wings.
The thing that caught me in this moment is I had never seen Trump's face look like that. He looked total shocked, outraged.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that particular face of his, and we've all seen
it
a lot
was
of
like
Trump.
It appeared to me that like when he stood up and then he like raised his fist in the air, he was like he wanted to say like "fuck you, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Like,
Still here, motherfucker.
Yeah. Like he just had like he's like gritting his teeth like, "Oh, you motherfucker."
It's crazy to me that the people in the stands behind him didn't leave.
That's when you talk about what looked weird.
That again,
the people
like
behind
everybody
him.
sits there and they're filming, and I'm like, I would have been fucking
culture, man.
out, dude.
Our culture.
That
Everybody
was-
wants
Grab
to
my cell phone and
fucking
film?
Get the video.
Well, that's exactly what came to my mind. Is everybody experiences their life like this now?
Yeah, dude.
So
it just
when somebody
blows
gets
my
shot, they're
mind.
like, "Wait, what just happened? Oh my god!"
And I know that I'm sure the FBI and whoever's running the investigation on this, I know they do this shit for like.
Pause that real quick.
We can show the lady that was just sitting there stone cold.
I wanted to ask this because this is super random, off-topic conspiracy shit. This dude in the back right here in the middle with the hat. Rewind it a little bit so it's clear,
With the,
Adam.
the boonie hat.
You talking about Muammar Gaddafi?
Yeah. So stop. Homeboy, where in the middle. Dude, there's so many videos. I want to know who he is. And I remember there was a bunch of people who talked politically
Oh, he was
about
just standing there, huh?
But he's in like, if you go back years, no one knows who he is, allegedly. He's in every presidential deal in the background. He can be found at a bunch of Trump shit since
That
Trump
might
started.
just be his thing.
Since
though,
Trump
man.
started running, maybe like he's like the Ohio.
Well, there's like
the
those
Buckeye.
guys that like go to, like like guys that like.
There's that
like
old lady that goes to every single city council meeting. Like
Yeah.
every
But
council
dude,
member
he's
knows her. 'cause
That
she's
guy,
there.
he's very weird looking. Like stands out. He's at every single thing Trump does, and everybody points him out in all these videos. And he was part of some bigger conspiracy picture. And I can't remember what it was, but
He's like a red nose and a seltzer bottle away from being like a 1970s clown.
I think people were trying to say that was.
Look at that guy. He's not mentally well.
That was somebody. He's wearing like a prosthetic nose. There was somebody who like broke it down and said he's actually somebody else in disguise.
You're on too many mask pages.
Dude, it was good. It was good.
to the point of everybody's reaction and pulling out their phones and stuff. And I know, like, the government agencies will pull people.
They take them all.
They'll take them and all that. But man, it would be cool if there was like an ability for us in situations like that, like a social media. And I mean, basically Instagram does this, but it's like after these big incidents, like everybody that was there,
Shoot
like
messages.
just upload your video there. And like, I mean, who's better? Who in today's day and age, who are better investigators in this country?
100%.
Like the internet in masses or like a detective. You know what I mean? Like there's been so much shit that's gotten
internet.
uncovered.
Problem is they're not going to monetize your videos, so everybody wants to save it for themselves, upload it to their deal, so they get all the clicks.
No, I understand that, but I think like just like I think there would be, because everybody loves watching crime documentary, like all that stuff. Like I feel like it would give people the ability to like do some deep digging.
Yeah.
On their own and connect some dots. So
Don't
that
fuck
they
with cats.
Don't fuck with cats.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to.
That's
man.
the thing.
Like,
they need that Batman technology where everyone's got the phones and pings together and puts together the sonar scene where you can see it all unfold. We need Batman.
It's got to be real. It's in movies. It's got to be real.
Dude, everything in movies is real. At some point, it becomes real.
well, and that actually brings up a good point. I wanted to say, like, it's crazy. I've heard so many people, podcast news, whoever's talking about this right now, like, talk about like, oh yeah, well this is how they do it in movies, the Secret Service. Like, how did they not get him off the stage? You know, kind of like what you were referencing, like bend him over, get him off the stage, like run, like, dude, this is like that's not how it works, man. Like, just like you guys, I've spent enough time in emergency situations, especially with cops, and they do not handle situations well sometimes, man.
No,
like at all, and.
Because they're human beings.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that, like, just because, like, your life and our culture is based around Hollywood, that has no bearing on shit in the real world, man.
For the record, my view of that had nothing to do with movies. It was just what I would imagine I would do in that scenario. I'd be getting the fuck off that stage and taking him with me.
No, 100%, man. I mean, it again, in my opinion, that the last 30 seconds of that whole scenario was definitely a complete breakdown of just authority for them to do what they needed to do, regardless of Trump was trying.
We'll use the term they used for us. There was no command presence on that stage.
Exactly.
Nobody had command presence or being in charge of that scene.
You see one Secret Service guy, like when he falls and like everyone's starting to rush, you see one Secret Service guy off to the right, and he's like trying to yell at a guy to go get something or do something, and like he's like looking at the guy he's yelling at's looking at him and is like, what? And then he's like, and it's just like the total breakdown.
You can hear the one Secret Service woman. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And all that's going on, by the way, while they have one of their ears plugged with a million people talking and saying different shit at the same fucking time. And there's the whole crowd screaming, and you yourself think you're about to get fucking killed.
Again, complete chaos that they've had training scenarios for, but none of them have ever done it. None of them.
None.
Now they have. Now they've got some experience. They're going to be more experienced than every other Secret Service member. Like, they're going to have stories to tell
for the next year.
Maybe for the next like 6 months.
Yeah.
I really want to know what snipers took the shots, because from the video I saw, it wasn't the two on the.
Oh, I thought it was those two.
It looked like it took a shot.
Yeah.
That was him flinching, man.
It looked like
if you flinched and he gets back down.
To me, it looked like he flinched and like probably missed the shot.
It didn't even look like he took a shot, because I don't see any recoil, and his barrel was like pointed down at the like roof.
Dude, Reagan. I still can't believe that dude did it for Jodie Foster.
I just don't like. I don't know some of the facts on like the amount of shots. So I hear, from what I heard.
Well, let's listen to it in real time if we got it. Unmute it, Adam. Once you get to the actual. ABC News. Standing by.
That's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
5 shots.
That's probably the
sounds like another 5 shots.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What's happening?
See that question.
And then it sounded like one more shot.
The what are we doing is that's a tough look.
Yeah. I think that guy is like waving his arms. The bottom of the camera.
The angle I saw, a lot of people have seen it's from Trump's left side. So you see his left cheek, and then you see the 2 snipers on the roof.
Yeah.
You hear, and from what I saw, you see Trump flinch, like his ear. I saw the pink mist and everything come off his ear, and right before he gets hit, you hear the crack kind of. or you can start hearing some shots. I'm sure there was I'm sure there was multiple rounds that got sent, really quickly, like it sounded like. I mean, like back to back.
It sounded like 5. When the snipers returned fire, it was 5. Bam, bam, bam,
So
bam, bam, bam.
like when those first shots rang out, obviously it's all right in line with when he gets hit. Those guys flinched. They were not even aiming down the scope for them to even get a round off, man.
Did somebody take a round in a vest? I saw pictures circulating.
They were saying that was Trump.
It was Trump.
They were saying that, but no other indication. Like
okay,
Trump
I saw it for like briefly, and I couldn't find it.
You
again.
would have seen that. 100%.
Somebody did like a super close up, and there was like a circle on, but it could have just been a button. Yeah,
maybe
because I saw the
shadow.
Is this them shooting,
like,
Adam?
Yeah, it's not a great quality, but you can see, like, in my opinion, that there's
the dude on the right's aimed down.
No recoil from either of them, and I know they're suppressed, but
Secret
still.
Service snipers can be seen facing the gunman's direction.
It's from the Wall Street
We
Journal.
see the agent on the roof pick
Surprised
his
it's not
head
gonna
up
kick us
just
off.
before shots ring out at 6:15.
It will.
Yeah, he
He
flinched.
picked his head up because he thought he was about to get
Secret
shot.
Service agents rush to pull
Oh, and then the video tails off.
Well, sometimes too, like you have these security teams, like snipers included. You're gonna have snipers, which is like, for lack of a better term, a show of force, a deterrent. And then you have guys that are more stealthy. You're not seeing them. They're in the trees. They're in a hide somewhere. You're not. Maybe those are the guys that took a shot. Because I guarantee you there weren't just 2 there.
No. In my opinion, and I don't know that, obviously we'll probably find out, but based off of all the angle that I saw that I'm talking about, and when I heard you stop hearing shots and you don't see those guys even behind their guns. They're like moving back.
Yeah.
And the moment Trump goes down, you hear the other shots, and they're from, like
Somewhere
you're
else.
saying, some other, some other team, which that makes total sense. Like, those guys are so well trained. When one round goes off, because they all know, like, their area.
It's like a firing squad.
They're literally just going to say, like, they have a spotter that's going to say 3 o'clock, and he'll just turn his gun and it'll
They've
be
got
over,
their
man.
they got their zone. They got all the dope in that zone, so they
Yeah.
can rapid fire quickly.
Yeah,
they can
I mean,
adjust and fire.
it'll take a professional, like, shooting team like that less than 3 seconds to acquire a target and shoot.
Well, who's that? I think Tim Kennedy put out a video. Maybe it was Tim Kennedy, or no, it was Mike Glover. So I think he was a Delta sniper, I believe, and he said he trained with Secret Service guys, and this was many years ago. That's not the potentially DEI hires we're talking about, but he said they were some of the quickest fucking snipers he'd ever worked with.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Mike Glover?
No,
Oh.
he is I think former Delta, Fieldcraft Survival.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of teams in those situations, but I mean, those guys didn't seem like to me that they were the ones that killed him.
You might be right. I mean, it's highly likely, yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that and I'm basing this a lot off of my experience of shooting long range rifles, seeing living beings, animals, get shot at long range rifle, at long ranges, close ranges, ballistics. I mean, I have a pretty deep rooted understanding of how, things happen when you're shooting at something with a heartbeat.
Sure.
I know it's different when it's a human, but it's still a very stressful
Not much.
moment.
It's a visceral reaction.
Yeah, it's a very visceral reaction. And I can tell you that when things get stressful, the number one thing that I do, that I've seen everybody do with a gun in their hand, that if you're looking through a scope, the first thing that you do when something gets stressful is you take your head out of the scope and you want to look with your own eyes.
It's natural.
Because it's
Yeah.
natural,
It's natural.
to you.
You could see that one sniper do the same thing. He's
Yeah,
looking.
he's like,
It's just natural.
Because right before the guy pulled the trigger, he's like, he realized what was about to happen.
oh, shit.
Saw a gun pointed in his direction, and before he could even realize that he wasn't President Donald Trump being shot at, he was already flinching, man.
Well, like I told Steve, like I feel like that sniper in that moment was like, "Am I really seeing that? Is that
100%.
guy on the real? Holy shit!"
100%.
Yeah, like it's so unnatural. Like again, complacency.
Yep.
That's, in my opinion, that's what happened. They were complacent. They were incompetent. Combination of the both.
Not trained well. They don't work
Yeah.
well together because they're not doing it all the time.
Exactly.
Breakdown of
Totally.
comms, different
All those
radio
things.
channels, different protocols, different communication models. Like, there is so many dynamics to this that the normal public, just because you guys don't like have an understanding of that type of job and those careers and the training and the protocols that go into it, like, And just because we do doesn't mean that like we know exactly what happened, but it's very easy to rule out certain things.
I think it makes it easier for us to say we don't know what happened, and it's very possible that all of these things that you just mentioned could have played into it, and most likely did.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's all I got to say about that.
So there was I think he was a retired fire chief, right? Butler County,
got smoked.
Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his name was Corey, I think Comparatori. I hope I'm saying that right. But my question was where was he sitting? Was he behind Trump in the grandstand?
I don't know.
Or was he, because I heard he was in the crowd, but my understanding, or what I thought my understanding was he was further away, closer towards the gunman than he was to the rally.
I don't know.
I
couldn't answer that.
The reports I heard, because 3 people got hit.
Yeah.
I think
2 of them were like
died,
critical.
and then 2 are critical, and they were all sitting in the bleachers.
Okay, so he was the guy, the doctor that was interviewed, the ER doc
Yeah.
was working on.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's a super sad deal.
And I mean, and that's like, I've seen people trying to connect the dots on bullet trajectories, and I mean, the fact of the matter is that guy was shooting a semi-automatic rifle. He started pulling the trigger.
He's moving all over the place.
And he's moving all over the place.
If you're
man.
pulling the trigger, most people, depending on if you're in a prone position, tripod, what have you, you start pulling that trigger, you start walking rounds.
Yeah.
They just
especially on the assault rifle that kid had. I mean, there's nothing custom about that. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just gonna bet that him or his dad, which was the one that bought that gun, it was his dad's gun. The kid asked to borrow it, like he normally did, apparently, to go shooting. But it's not like this guy's like some Delta Force, or SWAT team.
It's a kid that couldn't make his JV rifle team.
Well, I'm just saying his dad, they went and bought this thing from Cabela's or Sportsman's Warehouse. It's not like it got all these custom triggers and recoil dampening and like all this stuff to like make sure that his like, especially follow-up shots are going to be like on the money.
You have to be really trained. No, it's one thing to take the one shot, but again, to make 3 subsequent or 4 subsequent follow-up shots on target, good luck, man.
Yeah.
Unless you train specifically for that, good luck.
I don't know a shooter on this. I don't know, and I might be wrong. I don't know a shooter on this planet with a stock AR-15 that could, at that range, or I'll say 75 to 150 yards at those ranges, that could get 5 rounds off into Donald Trump with a stock AR-15. Back to back that fast.
If he's prone with tripod or something.
Johnny's thinking if he could do it or not.
No, I'm saying the whole don't add anything that this kid did or didn't have.
So you're saying he's just laying prone.
He was laying prone. He didn't have no tripod.
I'm just saying, like you're saying, you don't know anybody in the world with the stock.
I'm saying having exactly what that. If you just replaced him with that, there's no fucking way, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
The pull on the trigger, the poundage is too hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
The recoil, the spring, in the on the stock on those things. I mean, it's just they dance.
Yeah,
so much.
So I'm saying, like, if you're not training for that shot, you're gonna walk it around. It's just,
and especially when he starts moving, shit starts happening. It's just not, man. It's just too stressful.
I agree with that.
Do you think so? Adam pulled this image up. You don't have to play the video, Adam, but do you think this image is real or this is doctored?
So real or doctored are 2 different things. Like you can have a real image and enhance it to where like, hey.
No, okay. So I don't mean enhanced. I mean, do you think this is actually the bullet path traveling through the air? Do you think they added that in? Adobe Photoshop.
It was legitimately captured by a reputable photographer.
Oh, that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
He used to be a photographer at the White House for something. I think he's works for the New York Times now.
Okay.
So yeah, very reputable.
They have shutter speed that's fast enough.
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's impossible to catch it. I was just saying with all the fakes coming out, is that
I believe that's real. Yes, because again, it wasn't captured by me and I uploaded. It was a reputable photographer there for the rally.
So
insane fucking photograph though.
Yeah, that's amazing timing. Speaking of like conspiracy stuff, while Adam's playing this, did you guys see? So it's been circulating, and I wondered if it was real or not. But there's a BlackRock video that has that kid in it.
Oh yeah, from like at his high school. Yeah.
So, and not that that's related to anything or means anything, but it's just kind of a weird. As much as everybody talks about BlackRock and all that being in conspiracy stuff, and then this kid happens to be in one of the videos that they shot when he was in high school, and then he ends up being the shooter. It's pretty crazy.
Fucking BlackRock.
Just weird.
they're not doing themselves any favors.
No. Adam was saying that because I asked him, could the video be fake? Could he have just been generated there by somebody having fun? And he said BlackRock pulled it off of their website.
Yeah,
it was actually a legit video.
Yeah, it was a legit video.
Which again doesn't mean anything.
It's crazy.
How weird that it's BlackRock again.
Found it a couple hours after the shooting. Like, it's crazy how quick people can find information.
Start looking for stuff.
I think it's pretty fucked up that everybody on the internet doxed his parents.
Yeah.
Like, here's his address. Go get him. Yeah. Like, thankfully, like, law enforcement was already there and turned people away. But like the fact that people were like, let's get him.
Yeah.
Stop it. Quit fucking with people's lives. Like, parents didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We're getting to a really weird place, man.
Their life isn't already ruined enough.
Worse and worse. It just keeps getting worse, man.
Yeah, it's out of. Well, that's why I was talking about. We got to get the show out tomorrow because who the fuck knows what's going to happen by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like before this happened, I was gonna fully.
We're doing the debate.
I was going to be talking about how Biden, like his agenda for his second term,
or how about Ukraine and NATO, and
with the background of everybody in his party trying to get him out to quit running. Like that was the story before Sunday. That's
everything I have. All the reps that are backing out, all of his funding that's backing out, all the people calling for him to step aside, all the big name donors.
Yeah, it's
that's wild how quick that landscape changed.
Clooney fucking penned an op-ed.
Yep.
But that really pissed me off. Like, what, 2-3 weeks after you are at a $30 million fundraiser for him, now you're saying that, it's not the same guy. He's fucked up. He's got to go.
Right. He changed in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Are you going to give everybody their money back?
Yeah.
You conned people into giving $30 million to this man.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit. Like, nobody should ever listen to celebrities ever again, or Joe Scarborough.
I hate it.
I hate Joe Scarborough.
And I'm sure people could say the same thing about just us or anybody doing a podcast. Like, what makes it so special for people to listen to you, or like why, But at the end,
we're learned doctors.
No, but at the end of the day, it's just I hate that fact that like celebrities, just because they have the platform that they do now, they have to completely abandon like everything that they like people know them as, and now enter this like completely different arena.
And I'm not one of those people that says, "Hey, stick to making movies, pal." Like, I don't like, if you want to raise money, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I don't have to listen to you after you conned us all into, or conned all those people into giving $30 million, and then 3 weeks later said like, "Ooh, this ain't the guy."
Just bite the bullet, man, and say like, yeah, this just wasn't a good.
Fucked up.
Yeah, this is a PR move, man.
And for the record, in regards to us and us having a podcast, we still maintain that we're only doing this for ourselves. If people find this entertaining and want to listen, we're very happy for that. But
no, at this point, I feel like the world needs to hear our opinions.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's gotten to that point.
All right.
Well, definitely some opinions on this topic because, God, man, it just the amount of idiocracy or just that exists on the internet now.
It's out of control.
It is absolutely out of control, man. And I understand. Like, look, I'm not telling anybody to think or believe anything that I do or that my way is the only way. But like, when there is just blatant things that you can prove the opposite of, and like you see people having these reactions where like not only are their lives affected by like the misinformation or their like complete misunderstanding of what's happening, but like how deep does it go in other people's lives around them because of it? You know what I mean?
I like doing this podcast. Number one is I think it's good for people to hear different perspectives. Like, we might not be the most qualified on anything, but hey, you can hear it from somebody else, just their point of view, their perspective. You get a different way of looking at it. And sometimes that's enough to make you like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could think I'm an idiot on 1,000 things, but maybe I say that one thing and you're like, oh, dude, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Like, because I do that all the time on podcasts. Like, there's plenty of people, again, I told you, I listen to some left-leaning podcasts, and they heavily left-leaning, but I'm like, you know what, that is a good point. Like,
and like John said, we are learned doctors. So
that too. It's a house of learned doctors. All right, man. Like, other than that, Trump picked his VP, J.D. Vance.
I don't know anything about that person.
There's not a lot to know because he hasn't been in politics, but for like 2 years. Like, he graduated from Ohio State, Yale Law. I know, right? The Ohio State. Sorry. The Ohio State, Yale Law. He wrote a pretty popular book, Hillbilly Elegy, about his life. I guess it was a pretty popular book. Did very well. Started his campaign in 2021 or 20, became a senator in 22, something like that. But other than that, he's been in politics for 2 years. He was at one panel speaking, and he spoke very openly about not having no-fly zones in Ukraine and Russia and stuff like that. And that kind of caught the ear of Donald Trump Jr. Apparently, they became fast friends.
Yeah.
Fast forward, here they are. He's VP.
That'll be interesting.
Pretty conservative, just a lot like Trump, like you would expect from most Republicans. Border, shit like that. So
You think after this event, you think he's like, I'm good?
he seemed pretty fucking
good.
happy at the RNC, where I'm telling you, watch Donald Trump at the RNC. He doesn't,
I'll go back and
when
watch
they're
it.
sitting there praising him and singing and all that, he's just like,
Yeah.
not his normal, dancing. And
Did they have?
all
I
that shit.
didn't look. Did they have bulletproof glass up for that? Because they talked about putting it up.
He didn't speak. So he's not going to speak till I think Thursday.
Okay.
You know who did speak and fucking blew me away? It was Sean O'Brien. And he is the head of the Teamsters Union.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first time somebody from the Teamsters has spoke at a Republican National Convention in 121 years.
Holy shit!
He fucking went hard for 17 minutes to like, do whatever you're running for, I'm voting for you. Whenever
Dang,
you
man.
decide to run. That dude is fucking badass.
All right.
I mean, it's 17 minutes, but if you get a chance to listen to it, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
So other than that, man, not a lot else going on. So we could probably move on from that. We can go to Fireside if you got time, because I think we're probably hour and 20.
Yeah, I got a couple Fireside links.
Fireside! Fuck yeah! Get some!
Fucking get some.
So the first one was so I've been following a lot of, there was apparently a big incident in Fort Worth, and I follow a lot of different fire sites. It sounds like there was a house fire that some firefighters went in and they were doing some search. And it sounds like they were possibly injured. And then like a day later, the chief of Fort Worth like had this message to the media or whatever. They had a social media. I'm not sure exactly what where it originated, but he has this big lengthy post about how they need to adopt a culture of safety and that they were complacent and this and that. And there was a very big backlash from a lot of these people that were in the Fort Worth Fire Department community, a lot of people in the surrounding areas, and they're like, hey man, like these people were going in and doing a job and trying to, it's very much that search culture mentality, a lot of that Georgia smoke jumper stuff where it's all about the search, right? There's not enough emphasis on search.
Just make sure you're wearing your mask.
So, and I don't know the details of the injuries. I didn't go into that, but there's so many different sites that are bashing this chief to the point where I think he stepped back and retired just for basically made the firefighters feel like they had done something wrong and like there was an issue with what they did, right? So the sites that I follow, man, there's just been so much back and forth on the search culture versus the extinguishment versus removing the victims versus removing the problem from the victims and not taking into consideration any of the scenario, right? Everybody is saying, well, this is how you should always do it.
There's
not. And so if nothing else, I'm there for the comments, man. Like the comments are amazing back and forth. But I came across this video and it mirrors kind of the sentiments of search culture. My reaction watching it is very different than what some of the comments were. It was on par with some of the comments. I wanted to play it for you guys and get your thoughts, having been in these situations, having been on the job for, a length of time, and see kind of what you guys think of this video. First one, thoughts?
a lot of fire at the door.
I guess my question would be, is this okay to you guys?
Forcing entry right now, huh?
So he's trying to force the door. This thing's rolling through the front.
His fucking helmet's on fire.
He hasn't gotten low at all. He's just standing in the threshold
He's
of the
on fire.
doorway. He's on fire. His helmet's on fire. This guy starts trying to put him out with his hand. He's patting at his helmet. Helmet's still on fire.
How do you not have somebody with a line? Yeah, his flashlight's on fire.
Flashlight's on fire. Can't get it out.
With that much fire, I'm not kicking in that door unless I got a line right there.
That was my thoughts, right? Especially if you can't do it safely. He's standing in fire where his feet are in order to try to get the door. But now, if you want to go for an attempt, try and hit it one time, maybe back up. But it's that entire threshold, that entire doorway is on fire, and he's just eating it to get the door open. I'm watching this and I'm like, I heard one of our chiefs who instructs kind of talk about this, and he said as he gets older, his willingness to take risks, or like basically like it just diminishes. Like the more knowledge he gains and the more he's in these situations, the more risk adverse that he becomes in this type of scenario where this isn't a rescue situation. But I mean, potentially maybe, but like if you're in the middle of trying to do a rescue, I get it. But you're trying to open the door and there's all this fire. Like at what point are you like, okay, I'm going to back up and wait for a hose line?
Yeah, you see, well, I mean, we know people on the job that have kicked in a door and been blowtorched.
Yeah.
Why would you not be there with a hose?
Yeah. So the caption on this was like firefighters in action, getting it on, and you read through and everything is like thumbs up, high five, and then other people
Super cool looking.
Other people are like, why the fuck would you do that without a water supply?
Did they have victims confirmed?
Didn't say. It didn't go into super detail about the call. It was just this footage, and I'm like, it just doesn't look smart. It doesn't look healthy to me.
And like, it's hard to speak to other things too. Cause what fire department is this?
I don't know. I didn't say.
But I mean, here in Phoenix, you've got 10 people at that door right now. So you're going to have somebody with a hose. You're going to have 2 people forcing entry. Like, we are very resource rich.
But even like, look at the overhang of that roof. Sagging, it's on fire, and he's just camped out underneath it. It's almost like he just doesn't see anything else because he's so focused on getting that door open and getting that door out of there, which...
Without seeing the whole house, like, you can't say if you got a rescue or not. I mean, if the whole house looks like that,
exactly. Well, and that made me go back to there's no always and never. Like the situations, the conditions are going to dictate your actions. It's you can't just have an always and never scenario.
My critique to that, or I guess to the scenario that they're in, like if you're, regardless if there's confirmed victims or not, time is of the essence. You don't know. You're assuming that there is until proven otherwise.
Sure.
You almost always assume that,
Exactly. So if time is of the essence when somebody is apparently potentially burning alive, don't you think that it might be beneficial to have a hose line right next to you so that when that door does open, you
get ready to rock.
You can start cooling that environment down. Do you know what I mean?
It's so hard to speak to because we never on a house fire have just one dude up there trying to force entry and nobody else is up there with
ready
either
to
more
go.
tools or hose. Like, it's always, if you're forcing entry, I'm right behind you, making sure there's no air in that line. We're ready to go in right now. So it's hard to speak to other departments that don't have the resources we do. So I hate making critiques on that, but I'm certainly not walking through that door
just
without
standing there eating it for no
What's
reason.
the point? I mean, all I can say, at least this guy has his fucking mask on.
Yeah, true.
There's that. He's got that.
We've seen enough of those that they haven't. Yeah.
So that would be my critique.
So there's that, and then we can do one more. Any one of the last 3 are funny. You take your pick.
Number 2.
Okay. So this is a kid. Put the audio on this.
Your socks and grab your cocks. Engine 33 to an accident with injuries.
Accident with injuries. Future firefighter right there. Hell yeah, brothers. Drop your socks and grab your cocks. Go get them, brothers.
I fucking love that kid.
I thought that would be a good one to end
I
on.
fucking love that kid.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
What town is that?
I don't know, but that was Engine 33.
That's some East Coast shit, man.
Yeah. Some kid in Boston that sees them roll by 5 times a day. Yeah. Oh shit!
Hell yeah, brothers!
Drop your socks and grab your cocks. Engine 33.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Get them, brothers! All right. On that note, if you got any stories from the fire ground, anything you'd like to share with us, please email us or give us a call. Go to our website at thefiresideshow.com. Head over to the contact page. You can email us at contact@thefiresideshow.com, or if you scroll down a little further, right next to it, there's a phone number. Call us, leave us a voicemail, send us a text message. We want to hear from you.
And if you are a firefighter, put your fucking mask on.
For God's sake.
And your gloves.
Your wife will thank you in 15 years.
Online, man, of people not wearing masks.
I'll never understand it.
I don't even, how is that possible? Like, that there's cities and departments that are letting that happen. I don't understand that.
No idea.
Doesn't make sense.
It's got to be a culture thing, because that's the way it's always been done.
Thing, but I would have to assume that some of these guys are fighting for cancer treatment and and healthcare and insurance.
It takes 30 seconds. Throw it on. It's like same dude. He doesn't wear a condom ever.
Takes 30 seconds.
All right. On that note, that's a wrap.
Show 29.
Show 29.
June, you're gone next show. You're out.
I'm out, man.
You're out to
The next
Alaska.
one I'll be doing from AK.
Doing a remote show from Alaska.
I like it, dude.
Hell yeah, brother. Go get him, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'll see you guys when I get back.
Right on, dude. Have a safe trip.
All right.
Later.
Kill something.
Something.
Anything.
Something will die. Hopefully not me.
Hey, there's that possibility. We'll see. All right, everybody. Later.